I'm lucky to be able to do it. I'm training. I get to train all day. That's what I love. It might be hard, but I'm having fun.
Yep.
And gratitude is big, and I'm putting in the work, and that's what builds my confidence is my hard work. I always say hard work breeds confidence.
Welcome to the top.
Oh, yeah.
We killing annual quotas. It's the 1% show, in case you haven't noticed.
Welcome to the top. I'm your host, Paul Salamanca, VP of Sales at Security Scorecard, co-founder of the Top 1%er, a private sales community here in Bravado. With me, as always, our man, Tom Bocard, Senior VP of Sales, co-host, the man. Tom, always a pleasure to be doing this show with you. And today we have a very special guest straight from the UFC, Matt, the Steamrolla Frevola. Matt started his MMA career with 6 wins, no losses. I actually sound like a ring announcer right now. It's pretty awesome.
Is Joe Rogan?
Matt fought his way into the UFC. Dude, I can't get rid of that. I can't even shake that off. Hold on. Signed his UFC contract, and Matt obviously expected to win his first UFC fight until he didn't. That's when he suffered his first loss. So we'll be talking about how he was able to create his top 1%er mindset to get to that point and then use that mentality to overcome his first and only loss. Some fighters never are the same after they lose. Matt won 2 fights in a row and now looks for his 3rd consecutive win next week. But before we get into it with Matt, Tom, what do you know about Matt's upcoming opponent? What do you know about Matt's fighting style? Would you ever step in the ring with Matt? What do you think?
I need a lot of tequilas to step in that ring with Matt, man.
Professional fighter prospects who want to get to the UFC, and they have 5 fights on Tuesday night. And if you impress Dana White, he'll give you a contract to the UFC that night. And
No
that's
way.
What I did.
So then that's what you did. That's awesome. So you obviously fought before that, right? I mean, you can't just walk in there and get a UFC contract without fighting. So how long have you been fighting before that?
I had my first fight when I was 21 years old, and I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
And to get through the ranks, at first you start as an amateur, and you're fighting for free. You're not getting paid. You're fighting for the pride. You're fighting for the love of it, and then you have to build up a good amateur record to go pro, to get a professional fight organization to sign you and want to pay you to fight. And then once you go pro, you have to build up your professional record and get some real good finishes against some real good guys to make it to the UFC.
So how did you know you wanted to get into fighting? You fight a lot as a kid, or how did that happen?
Well, I started like a lot of guys. I wrestled in old HF wrestling, like Tom Bocard down here. I learned a thing or two from the Bocards coming up in the wrestling room. I started as a wrestler. I was always just a competitor. Played all these sports. I got a twin brother, and we would compete in everything. And I played baseball, played football, played lacrosse. I wrestled, and I'm just a natural competitor. And eventually, I played a little bit of junior college football and lacrosse. And
nice.
once I realized, I wasn't going to NFL or anything, and I kind of missed that competition. I dictate where I want the fight to go. I'm fighting a guy, and this guy's got really good stand-up. Hell yeah, I'm going to take him down, slam him on his head, and beat him up on the ground. And then I'm fighting a guy who's a good wrestler and isn't very good at standing up. I'll sprawl, stuff his takedowns, and I'll beat him up on the feet. So, I mean, having that wrestling base is the best base to have. And then also the grind. Tom will tell you that wrestling room, high school wrestling room grind, there's nothing like it.
So, Matt, I wanted to know, like, when you got into the UFC, you obviously you don't go into a fight thinking you're going to lose. And your first UFC fight, you lost. What's going on in your mind at that moment? And then, like, how do you rebound back? Like, because we talk a lot about the top 1%er mentality here. There are people that come onto our show that have been laid off due to COVID. They're looking for a new job. And you get to the finals in an interview, and you're not selling a product, you're selling yourself. And when someone doesn't hire you and they hire someone else, it's hard not to take that personally. And it becomes very sometimes challenging mentally. So how do you, if you were to describe like your thought process during that time, the day after you lost, or the night you lost your first fight in the UFC, what was that like?
I always say, you always see what you're made of coming back from a setback. And that loss, you know, I was an undefeated amateur. I was a 9-0 amateur. I built up to a 6-0 with a professional record. And, you know, the style of fighting I did was like Tom was saying, you know, I threw caution to the wind. I went in there guns blazing and I steamrolled people, and it worked. You know, it worked. I was 9-0 as an amateur, 6-0 as a pro, and then I got to the big show, and I fought in the UFC. And my UFC debut, I went in there and I did what got me there. You know, I went in there and just threw caution to the wind and tried to just run right through that guy, and it didn't work out for me. You know, I got caught, I got finished, and after that fight, you know, I knew right there it's now we're gonna see what I'm made of. You know, there's two roads that I could have taken. You know, I could have quit, I could have whatever, but that's not who I am. That's not what I'm made of. I knew what I had to do, and I looked back at the film. I went back to the basics. I really drilled in you know, I really crossed my T's, dotted my I's, and I came back to the fight game with a different approach, with a more calculated approach. And now, you know, now every time I fight, I have a real good game plan. You know, I watch a lot of film. I'm a smart fighter. I like to think I'm a calculated killer now. You know, when before when I was undefeated, I didn't watch any tape. I didn't do it. I didn't care what they did. I said I was like, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna steamroll people. That's what I do. And then I got that one loss. I had to reassess. I found out what I was made of, and now I'm that calculated killer.
After that loss, how well do you take it? Because I feel like champs own up to it. Like, that's on me, right? Where you could see some other fighters or some other people, some other salespeople, they lose a deal, they're blaming other people. They're making excuses. How quickly did you own that after the fight? Or was that kind of a process to go through?
No, right away. And that happens with fighters a lot too. You know, a fighter will lose and they'll switch their coaches, they'll change their camps. They'll you know, say, oh, I had a bad weight cut, I had a bad this. They make excuses, and that's not me. You know, no excuses. For that fight, I was 100% ready, and I just did what got me there, and it didn't work out for me that way. You know, I kind of fought with the kill or be killed kind of mentality, and that night, you know, I lost. And you have to own up. You have to own up to your losses, or you won't be able to grow. That's what this is all about, is growing and evolving and becoming, you know, a better fighter, a better entrepreneur, whatever you're trying to be the next day.
I love it. You're getting punched in the face, you're getting kicked. Sometimes you want to take a timeout, but what's the language? What's your self-talk like? How do you stay focused and make sure that you're going down that right path mentally?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that. You're grateful. You know, gratitude is a big thing that I always try to appreciate, you know, especially during these fight camps. These fight camps are tough. You know, I left, I'm a Long Islander just like Tom, and I left home. I left my fiance, I left my family up there. I'm down here in Tampa for a 5-week fight camp, and I'm down here, you know, alone, and I'm just grinding. I'm training my ass off day in and day out. I'm getting punched in the face. I'm choking people. I'm getting choked. I'm working my ass off down here. My body hurts, and you know, a lot of times I think, oh, you know, like what the fuck am I doing? This sucks. And then I gotta think about it. I'm like, you know, I'm lucky to be able to do it. I'm training. I get to train all day. That's what I love. You know, it might be hard, but I'm having fun. You know, and gratitude is big, and you know, I'm putting in the work, and that's what builds my confidence is my hard work. My hard work. I always say hard work breeds confidence, and that's it. You know, that's what gives me the confidence to walk into that octagon and fight another trained killer in front of the world. Is because it's because I know that I'm 100% prepared. I put in the work. I had no shortcuts, and I'm ready to go out there and leave everything I got in that cage. And whatever happens, I'm drinking a beer afterwards and celebrating.
I think one thing though, and I'm curious because Matt, like your past couple fights they've gone the distance, right? So like, you know, these are 3-5 minute rounds. Like what, and they're battles, right? Like you've had some battles out there. You've dominated some people, but it doesn't matter if you're dominating, you're still exhausted. Like, what's happening when you're in the corner, sitting there between rounds 2 and 3? Like, what goes through your mind to make you like get up? You know, like it's like you might be like, I just need like 30 more seconds to catch my breath. Like, how do you push that?
Yeah, you know, it's I get a minute in between each round to recover, and you know, it's about training. I've been there. I spar. We spar twice a week, and one just big gloves stand up, and then the other one's MMA sparring. And my coach, I spar four or 5-minute rounds when my fight's only 3 5-minute rounds. And then my coach puts a fresh guy on me every mid round. so these sparring sessions are rough. You know, he wants to push me to that wall. You know, he always says, you know, everyone has a wall, and you got to run through that wall, and then the next day your wall is going to be further. You know, you always, like you said, 1% better every day. And you know, that first sparring session at camp is a rough one, but the next week, you know, I'm in better shape, and the sparring session is better, and then I get better until I don't get tired anymore. You know, I'm ready. And then when that fight comes along, and in between those rounds, you know I've been there, and I'm ready to go.
But how important do you think that, you know, envisioning success is to your process?
It's huge. I visualize all day, every day, and then I heard Paul was saying about meditation too. I'm a big meditator. I do actually a lot of my meditation during hot yoga. I do hot yoga almost like 3 times a week, and that kind of you know, after you put your body through that, at the end, when I do a lot of visualizing at the end of that yoga session, when I'm laying in a puddle of sweat, you know, after I work my ass off in there, and I visualize the entire fight week. I visualize the weight cut. I visualize the face off. I visualize you know, being in the locker room, warming up. I visualize getting my hands wrapped, and then walking to the octagon, stepping into the octagon, and I watch the fight over and over in my head. I watch myself do good. I watch myself do bad and have to come back from adversity. And it's definitely.
So, how are you going to win next Saturday? Just so we can see a preview of it.
I'm gonna knock him out.
What round?
Round 1.
Round 1. I love it. Okay. We had the pleasure of getting inside the mind of Matt Frevola and how he handles adversity to build that top 1%er mentality.
Welcome to the top.
Oh, yeah.
We killing annual quotas. It's the 1%er show, in case you haven't noticed.